Hello everyone and welcome to this video where I will be giving my thoughts on the upcoming Gen Lock patch. Unlike the last patch video I did, this time I actually played on the PTS before writing this. So, this will actually be a patch review rather than a patch speculation. Actually, there was some additional balance in the PTS patch that went up yesterday, so mostly a patch review with a little bit of speculation. Let's begin by briefly talking about Rei, our newest support. I'll save my heavy analysis of her kit for another video. Just know that she's very fun, but requires a different playstyle when compared to other supports. Due to the fact that she has no movement skill, and needs to be tethered to someone to gain value, Rei is best played in the thick of it with her team, which for some, can be a challenging positional change to grasp. When mastered though, I think Rei has the potential to be one of the strongest supports in the game. Rei's Sigil Primary Fire is basically a slower but stronger version of Isle's bow. Not much to say here. Her reload animations are adorable though. Rei's main healing method, Chain Heal, is a bit awkward to use. The ability begins by targeting an ally to heal them for 500. Once your initial ally is healed, the orb will bounce to the next ally closest to it. The orb can bounce back to Rei herself, in which case she will heal for 650. On paper, this doesn't sound so bad. These orbs should excel at group healing, right? In practice, the orbs won't heal who you need them to, because they're too busy bouncing back and forth between the same two allies. A simple but very needed change to the Chain Heal would be to have the orb auto-target the lowest health ally in range, akin to a Ying illusion. Next is Rei's most important ability. Spirit Link is easily the strongest aspect of her kit. This ability allows you to link to an ally or an enemy to grant helpful or harmful effects. When linked to an enemy, you will deal 50 damage every 0.75 seconds and slow them for 10%. But, when linked to an ally, you will passively heal them for 50 heals a second, even though the patch notes say 200. You will grant linked allies a bonus 30% healing from Chain Heal, and you will also grant them a passive 0.5% bonus ult charge per second. The ability to passively give your allies more ultimate charge is crazy strong. A team with Rei will be having their ultimates up way more often compared to a team without one. There's also the Midnight Stroll card, which reduces the damage a linked enemy does by up to 25%. This ability is insane. Last of the main abilities is Rei's Envelop. When using Envelop, for 3 seconds you and your linked ally will gain a bonus 40% move speed on top of reducing the max amount of damage you can take in a single instance to 275. This ability is a massive middle finger to the burst meta, and I am all for it. My one issue is that this ability does nothing against champions with smaller instances of damage, like Victor or Ceres. Maybe having a small 10% damage reduction against damage lower than 275 would be a nice quality of life buff. Envelop was also recently changed to grant Rei a bonus 50% jump height while it's active. It doesn't really change this ability's power level, but it is nice to have, and makes sense since she's a bunny and all. And of course the ultimate, Vivify. You and your linked ally become damage immune for 2 seconds and then get healed to full. Very simple. Use this for those clutch saves. Unlike her base kit, Rei's talents are nothing to write home about. Extension is boring, but will probably be her most played. Restraint is a completely different talent on the PTS versus the patch notes. On the PTS, when you're linked to an enemy, and then use Envelop, you will prevent them from healing. It sounds strong, but then you realize that you need a very specific setup, which involves wasting your defensive ability. Then there's Focus, which was recently changed, but I still think it won't be picked a lot. Focus increases Spirit Link's cooldown to 7 seconds, decreases its uptime to 4 seconds, but triples its effects. So for 4 seconds, you can get 150 healing a second, plus 1.5% ult charge per second, or 150 DPS and a 30% slow. I do think the 4-second 30% slow will be a strong option for damage raise, but for most, I find that losing the ability to reliably control your team's ult charge and bonus healing via Chain Heal is not worth it for this talent. Real quick before we wrap up with Rei, she did have a significant card change. The Blood Bond card, Arcane Focus, where you would take a portion of your linked ally's damage, is gone. Replaced with a healing card when you're linked to somebody. I am pretty bummed to see the Blood Bond card going, but I will admit it was a pretty complicated card, and I think the ability would be better suited for a future frontline. Alright, I'll leave Ray at that. I'll be covering her again in a champion review video, so stay tuned for that. Let's continue with the first Paladins crossover pass, Gen Lock. It's some robot anime thing, I think. The new skins look pretty cool, however there are a few issues with them. On the new Kinessa skin, the rifle does not collapse. The new Lex skin has a custom reload animation that is really lazy and a bit jarring in my opinion. And the worst offender is the new Xin skin. All of his lines are in Japanese. Unless you speak Japanese, good luck understanding this guy's callouts. I'm on the fence about buying this pass. I really want to support the first Paladins crossover in the hopes that they get more, but this pass is priced higher than usual at 750 crystals. Which, to be fair, is to be expected from a crossover, but I've never watched the anime, and the skins are for champions I don't play, so I'm probably going to skip this one. Continuing on, the bounty store returns at last, and is supposedly going to be better than before, now featuring a rotating stock of 3 skins, one of which will change each day. You'll now be able to link your Paladins account to Twitch, so you can gain bonus bounty points while watching your favorite Paladins gamer in the bathtub. There's also going to be the option to watch an advertisement in-game for bonus coins if you so desire. Don't worry though, because you have the option to opt out of the ads. I am so excited for the bounty store to return. It was so much fun to go about my daily quests so that I could grind out my bounty coins. The bounty store is a great way to keep players engaged in Paladins. One new aspect of the bounty store that I'm a bit iffy on is bounty store exclusives. This will be a skin that only players who purchase the Battle Pass will have access to. Supposedly the exclusive section will contain a unique recolor of some previously established skin. I love the idea of a new light being shined on some older skins, but I'm not a big fan of this feature only being accessible to Battle Pass owners. It's not the biggest issue since the unique recolor will be available in chests or direct purchases later on, but still. LTMs are still a-goin'. We got 2 new ones confirmed. Pick any. No Limits from Overwatch is finally in Paladins. Expect a lot of videos on this LTM when it goes live. 5 Amanis, 5 Roms, 4 Yaggarats and a Furia. Ooh, I can't wait. And then there's Hunter vs. Hunter. Lux vs. Andro. Lame. I do have a little LTM review video planned at the end of the Shadows patch, so I'll save my other thoughts till then. Next, new skins. Vatu gets his first skin, Mayhem, a patch after his release. Very creepy. Not for me though. And surprisingly, Eevee gets a newish skin. Toothache, which is basically Sweet Shot but upgraded. This is going to be the first Bounty Store exclusive, but it will be available in a chest later on. The base skin was already an awesome concept, but this one with the ice cream cone hat is just so much better. Let's move on to general updates. Bots can no longer purchase items for disconnected players. Praise Genos, that was so annoying. The scoreboard will now show you if an ally has disconnected. Praise Genos again! Having a bot sucks, but at least knowing you have one is nice. And Legacy VGS is back for PC players! All the lines. Praise Genos. Why was this removed in the first place? The wheel and the new VGS commands are stupid. Very happy to see this return. Sorry to my console friends who are crying in the corner. Ranked is getting 3 bans per team. Good. There are 50 champions now. 3 bans is appropriate. Make sure to save a slot for Exterminate Furia. Okay, finally, let's talk about the upcoming balance changes. I'm gonna go a bit out of order from the patch notes by starting with the item store changes. Cauterize finally gets a buff, going from 25, 50, 75% anti-healing to 30, 55, 80% anti-healing. A nice middle ground between the old and new Cauterize. I'm on the side of buffing Cauterize, so I think this is a great change. Since Cauterize is getting buffed, it only makes sense that Rejuvenate is too. The scaling goes from a 5% bonus per level to 6%. A small but very needed change. Rejuvenate has genuinely felt like garbage since the Season 3 changes. I'm so happy it's getting a nudge up. Bulldozer now scales by 25%, up from the pathetic 20%. Though rarely picked, I think this is a good change. Veteran finally is getting changed. It no longer boosts out of combat healing and now boosts your maximum health by 4, 8, or 12% per level. While I am super happy that the old veteran is going in the garbage where it belongs, I am a bit worried about this new alternative. Changing a champion's health affects so many breakpoints in duels, and some champs like Frontlines gain a pretty hefty boost. Yagoroth can end up having 6,720 HP. I think a better alternative would have been to make Veteran a weak self-healing item. Something like self-heal for 20 per level. This way it can be countered by Cauterize. Even though I am worried about this new effect, I am super ecstatic that the old garbage Veteran is going. Finally, every item in the item store is usable. Well, I gotta talk about the 3 item store changes that I'm not too crazy about. Blast Shields is being removed, and now Haven will reduce all damage, direct and blast, by 6%. I originally was neutral about this, but now I'm not liking it. On top of dumbing down the item, it's actually a pretty hefty nerf to blasters. Right now in Paladins, you have to make the choice to defend yourself against either direct or blast damage. Decisions like, should I get blast shields to counter this Drogoz who's killing me, or should I get Haven since the other 4 enemies have direct damage? Since most champions have direct damage, blasters don't have to worry as much since most enemies will buy Haven over blast. Now with the new Haven, blasters have to worry about their damage being reduced, which is a hefty nerf to the subclass. On top of hurting pure blasters, this also hurts champions who have multiple damage methods in their kit like Vatu, since all of their damage will be getting cut now. Alright, since Blast Shields is getting removed, it only makes sense that it's replaced by an awesome new item, right? Enter Guardian. Increase the effectiveness of the shields you create by 7% per level. I have so many issues with this. First off, outside of Nando's Aegis, I think that shields are in a great spot right now. Most shields can be waited out since they're time-based. However, the option to shoot them with or without Wrecker is still a viable strategy. Wrecker at 75% feels strong, but not too oppressive to shields, and still gives Frontlines a moment to protect their team. Now Guardian comes to completely offset this balance, and the only way to fix it is to buff Wrecker to scale by 30% per level. Wrecker at 90% will shred through shields, and in turn, this forces the Frontlines to pick Guardian if they wish for their shields to stay active. I did a few calculations to better give you guys a feel for the new Guardian/Wrecker interactions. On live, Khan's shield has 4,250 HP. Leon's heirloom rifle deals 400 damage per shot. So on live, without Wrecker, it takes Leon 11 shots to pop that shield by herself. When she buys Wrecker 3, Leon will pop Khan's shield in 8 shots by herself. On the PTS with 90% Wrecker, Leon will pop Khan's shield in just 6 shots. Now, let's throw Guardian into the mix. With level 3 Guardian, Khan's shield will have 5,142 HP. So without Wrecker, Leon now takes 13 shots to break it. With Wrecker 3 at 90%, she will take 7 shots to break it down. If you don't buy Wrecker against a Guardian shield, you will be shooting for a long time. If you don't buy Guardian against Wrecker, your shield will get popped like that. One way or another, someone is being forced to buy an item they might not want just to keep up with the pressure. I really don't see the logic behind the shield buffing item when so many shields are time-based. If anything, this promotes the strategy of waiting shields out more than anything. I also think it's dumb that the new item is only purchasable by 10 champions max. My calculations might be wrong, but only 1/5 of the cast, possibly less, can buy this new item. Just no. Keep blast shields in the game, and keep Haven and Wrecker the same. Thank you. I really don't want Paladins going down the Overwatch route in terms of shields. In Overwatch, shields were initially very strong. Strong enough to be constantly rotated in and out and only be destroyed when the tank wielding them was killed through ultimates. Eventually, Overwatch got to their classic balancing habits by butchering all the shields. Now, shields barely last a second in Overwatch due to how weak they are. Guardian and the Wrecker changes somehow managed to take both of these horrible aspects of Overwatch's shields and combine it into what will undoubtedly be an unfun time on both sides. Shooting shields forever sucks. On the other hand, having your shield get bursted down in under a second sucks as a front line. One more time, I think the current shields are fine. I think Wrecker at 75% is fine. This is definitely my biggest issue with the patch. I would love to know your thoughts about it in the comments. Alright, let's cool down with some champion balance. We got 25 champions getting some attention this patch, so let's not dilly-dally. The theme of this patch seems to be reworking annoying or useless talents, and what better way to start with Genos. Genos' Luminary no longer provides your allies with bonus damage, and now heals all allies already affected by Astromark for an additional 250 when you use the ability. If you re-heal someone who is already being healed, you will heal them for a burst of 550 now, the 300 plus the 250. Finally, Genos is getting some love. I'm not too sure about the general viability of this talent though. The burst of 250 is nice, but it does not make up for Astromark's pathetic 180 healing per second. While this talent is a great first step towards making Genos more fun and viable, I believe to truly achieve that goal, then a small healing increase to his Astromark base is necessary. I would prefer if they reverted it back to its pre-Season 3 220 healing a second, but maybe even 200 healing a second would feel better. Either way, very happy to see this talent reworked, and I hope Genos gets more love soon. Furia steals the show with talent reworks this update with the reworked Solar Blessing. Solar Blessing will still make the Pyrostrike heal allies it touches, but now, if Furia hits the ability button again, the beam will stop in place. Yes! People have been asking for this for so long. Not only does it make the healing way more reliable, but it also increases the skill ceiling for Furia's beam massively. You now have options like stopping the beam at a choke to prevent enemies from engaging, or stopping the beam on an enemy for a mock exterminate attack. Of course, to compensate for all these new plays, the beam's healing goes down from 3000 a second to 2000 a second. 2000 healing a second is still more than enough, and the strength of stopping the beam at will massively outweighs this nerf. I am very excited to play Furia next patch. Oh, she also got a card change. Lightforge, which currently reduces the cooldown of Pyrostrike by 5 seconds when you heal with Kindle Soul, is being reworked. Now when you hit Kindle Soul, you increase your movement speed by 8% per level for 1 second. I think this new card is very weak. 40% move speed is nice, but the 1 second time limit is not enough in my eyes. Besides, Furia is going to need room for a Pyrostrike reset build, since that's going to be her strongest option. Kinessa's Eagle Eye is getting reworked. It will no longer boost the damage of headshots by 25%, thank Genos. Now your sniper rifle gains increased fire and charge rate at the cost of reduced damage per shot. This talent basically turns your sniper rifle into a slower version of Octavia's rifle, dealing 550 damage per fully charged shot. I am terrible at Kinessa, and I had a terrible game with this talent on the PTS, so not really for me. I don't foresee this talent being picked much, since burst damage is king in this game, and you lose the ability to take out 1800 damage with a single shot. But we'll see. Atlas's Unstable Fissure is next on the chopping block. It will no longer leave a bomb after using Second Chance, and will now rewind all enemies within 20 units of you when you rewind. Gonna be honest, I feel like a useless talent is being replaced with another useless talent. Sacrificing your escape tool for a group rewind in a small area is not a smart play, especially when the Deja Vu talent is already capable of rewinding multiple enemies. And it's on a shorter cooldown too. Temporal Divide is also here, but with a nerf, not a rework. The increased cooldown of Stasis Field is going up from 50% to 65%. Or to make it simpler, the cooldown goes from 21 seconds to 23 seconds. Yikes, that's a long cooldown. I do understand the reasons behind this nerf, which is cooldown resets via the Phantom Pain card. That's a strong card that reduces the cooldown of Stasis Field when you hit setback. I don't think this will affect Temporal Divide's pick rate too much though. I still think Deja Vu is the best talent. Fernando gets not one, but 2 talent reworks. Formidable is no longer a joke. The old talent would heal you for 55% of your max health when you drop below 40% HP every 45 seconds. The new Formidable grants you 2 uses of charge, increases charges damage by 100, and grants CC immunity while charging. This does come at a cost though, as charges cooldown with this talent will go up from 10 to 13 seconds. Now that's a talent. Dare I say, this might be the Flank Nando's talent of choice from now on. More movement is already great, but the fact that you get CC immunity while charging? Yeah, this is going to be a very strong talent. One of the most anti-fun talents in the game, Aegis, is being reworked slightly. The old Aegis gives Fernandor's shield an infinite duration and reduces its cooldown by 4 seconds. The new Aegis still keeps the infinite duration, but puts the shield on a resource that regenerates over time instead of using a cooldown. I originally had a whole rant about this talent, because initially the shield regenerated while it was up, which was super unfun to play against. Thank Genos that was fixed. I still have one issue though. The shield does not go on cooldown when destroyed. With Khan's shield, which is essentially the same, when it gets destroyed, you have to wait for half of your shield HP to regen before using it again. With Fernando, you only need to wait for a sliver of HP to return to shielding. So all you need to do is wait for 1 second to begin shielding again. That's not good. I already said how I think most shields are fine, minus Fernando's Aegis. I do think this talent change is a step towards making it less frustrating, but I think Fernando needs to be put on a harsher cooldown when the thing is destroyed. Fernando's Aegis plus the new Guardian item is going to be so annoying and anti-fun. Barrick! Architectonics is going in the dumpster, yes! Someone must have watched my worst talents vid. Anyways, the old garbage of increasing turrets damage by 20% and reducing their cooldown is being replaced with a new talent, Forge Fire. When you're at 35% ult charge, you can place down a flamethrower turret with modified values. This does come at a cost of you not having the Dome Shield ultimate. I'm not sure on the exact numbers of the flamethrower turrets, however when I played, it seemed that they had 1000 HP and dealt around 350 DPS. Keep in mind, that flamethrower pierces targets, and you could have 2 of these things up at once. A point covered with barrack turrets is going to be a nightmare for any enemy facing it now. I am so happy with this talent change, and I can't wait to play with this in Onslaught. Tinkering is up next with a small buff. The damage goes up from 510 to 535. I really like that they're trying to get all 3 of Barrack's talents some value. I still think the default shotgun is better, since you can headshot with it, but Tinkering players should feel a bit stronger now. Barrack also got some card changes, but they're so small that I'm just gonna skip them. Inara, like Barrack, also has a lot of small card changes that I will skip. She did get a few quality of life buffs though. The Earthen Guard's duration is going up from 5 to 5.3 seconds, and Impass's cooldown goes down from 15 to 14 seconds. Not much to say here, just some small little buffs for Inara. Makoa's Cannon is getting a small increase to its damage falloff range, going from 75 to 80 units. And the Dredge Anchor will now apply a 1-second stun to Yaggorath. I love that they had to go out of their way for that one change against Yaggorath. Terminus gets a few card changes. Most are insignificant except for the nerf to Necromantic Might. The reduction in damage required to generate a blast goes down from 120 to 100 per level. Capped out, you're going to be needing an additional 100 damage per level to get that charge. Torvald is up with changes to every ability in his kit. His primary fire's damage goes up from 180 to 190 per shot, Nullify's cooldown goes down from 12 to 11 seconds, Recharge's cooldown goes down from 14 to 12 seconds, the ultimate Hyper Beam's damage goes up from 55 a tick to 60 a tick, and the big one, Protection's shield health goes up from 500 to 650, but the cooldown goes up from 6 to 9 seconds. The buffs to Torvald's damage and cooldowns feel great. The buff to Protection's shield health feels great. The 9-second cooldown does not feel great. And of course, we all know why the cooldown was up to 9 seconds. It's thanks, Grandpa. The ability to give an ally 950 shields every 6 seconds would be super frustrating to fight. So, they increased the cooldown. Without thanks, Grandpa, I really believe that Torvald's bubble at 650 HP would be just fine at 6 seconds. In fact, I actually suggested this exact HP change in my How to Rework Torvald video. The main difference between Protection in my video and the current Torvald is that Torvald wouldn't have any talents to modify his bubble. It would be just 650 HP, no bonus damage, or health, just 650. The reason I'm a bit bummed about this cooldown nerf is because right now, Torvald's bubble bot playstyle is all he's good for. When you increase the cooldown on that, Torvald becomes notably worse, even with all these other buffs. I'm not too enraged about this change though, because in the developer comments, it looks like they finally confirmed a Torvald rework. Quote, we would like to invest the time and resources it would take to make significant, sweeping changes to Torvald, as we think he deserves it. In the short term, however, we feel that he could use some love across the board. Yes! Torvald rework! Standing on the point menacingly, we got Yagurath with more nerfs. The piercing quills will no longer apply a damage boost against enemies affected by caustic spray. Unpopular opinion, but as bloated as Yagurath's kit is, I would have preferred this feature to stay. It felt very rewarding when your team coordinated with you after the damage bonus went up. In turn, this will decrease Yagurath's damage output by 10% since the main method is to use both the quills and spray in conjunction with each other. Because the damage boost is going, the Last Efforts card is getting reworked. Now, hitting an enemy with piercing quills grants you 20% lifesteal for 0.6 seconds per level. I mean, Yagurath already has a healing card via piercing quills, so... Another nerf comes to the Primal Vision. The time between pulses has been reduced by 10%. The overall duration of the ability goes down by 10%. And the duration enemies are revealed for goes down by 15%. On the one hand, I'm sad that they're slowly chipping away at what could be a very fun and unique tank. But on the other hand, I've had so many games ruined by a Yagurath just existing, so ultimately I don't care if she gets nerfed. Well, it's not all bad for Yagurath players. The range on the primary caustic spray will be going up from 90 to 105 units! Yay, you get to vomit on people from further away, I guess. To my Yagurath fans and haters, I do have a Yagurath rework idea planned, so stay tuned for that. Onto the damage section, starting with Dredge. Getting a nerf to the Mortal Skewer card, with the healing going from 80 per level to 70 per level. A 50 health loss when capped out. Seems like a weird nerf since Cauterize is getting buffed, but I guess Harpoon Spam Dredge was too strong. Up next, my girl Amani, with a supposed power shift. The Inferno Cannon's damage goes down from 110 per tick to 100 per tick. This means that the Flamethrower's DPS goes down from 1222 to 1111. Over the 3 seconds, you will deal 3,333 damage, instead of the previous 3,666. Overall, it's not a major nerf. The only time I really noticed this change was when I was attacking full health frontlines. If you play your normal combo of hitting a primary first and then using your cannon, you will notice little change. To compensate for this nerf, the Frost Bomb gets some honestly pathetic changes. The minimum damage of the bomb goes up by 5%, or a whopping 20 damage. And the distance required for that full 800 damage has been reduced by 10%. I guess the distance change is nice, but that minimum damage buff is nothing. Everyone's favorite bursty cereal mascot, Tiberius, gets some changes. First change is to the Vicious Assault talent. The damage from landing has been reduced from 900 to 600. However, you now gain an additional charge of Crouching Tigron. Watch this become Tony's most picked talent next patch. The Combat Trance finally gets a nerf. It's small though. The bonus attack and move speed goes down from 30% to 25%. I would prefer if this ability was booted altogether, but a little less burst is always nice. Tyra's In the Fray card will get its damage reduction boosted from 4% to 5% a level. However, the card will no longer stack with itself. Thank Genos, no more Tyra with 47% damage reduction. Onto the supports. Grok, getting some massive nerfs after its crazy cooldown buff from last patch. Totemic Ward's bonus healing is going down from 30% to just 10%. And the healing totem's cooldown at base is going from 10 to 13 seconds. Yikes. Poor Grok mains. At least you guys had a month of fun. Grover's Vine can no longer target allies, yay. Ceres's Ren Soul is getting its cooldown increased from 5 to 6 seconds, but the damage per orb stack is going up from 60 to 80. Fair change. Ren Soul's damage has felt lacking, and the Agony Cereses have been annoying to fight since Ren Soul's cooldown buff. Fade to Black. The card that reduces Shadow Travel's cooldown when you heal someone will now have an internal timer of 5 seconds. On the one hand, I hate fighting against this card. On the other hand though, Ceres's Shadow Travel is not that good, and if you're putting in 5 points for this card, then you're sacrificing your loadout elsewhere. A 5-second timer will only make that worse. Ying's Resonance finally gets a buff. The Shatter Explosion damage has been upped from 500 to 550, and the speed at which illusions travel is increased with this talent now. Initially, I dismissed this as a pointless change. That was until my team got completely obliterated against the new Resonance Ying. With the right loadout, Ying can be bombing enemies left and right. The Resonance Ying cult is dancing around the ashes of their enemies' remains. Watch out for the sleeper pick next patch. Now it's time for the flanks. Koga's SMG damage goes up from 36 to 38. Wow, Koga's still gonna be pretty bad next patch. Also, Blood Reaper is still in the game. Lex's Discovery gets its bonus damage lowered from 30% to 25%. Honestly, I see what you guys were saying about this talent. It's not fun to fight against. Good change here. Maeve. Rogue's Gambit is getting a damage increase, going from 10 to 15%, meaning Pounce will now deal 460 damage, up from 440. The talent will also reduce the cooldown of Pounce by 2 seconds. Very good change. Rogue's Gambit is Maeve's very fun, but never pick talent. Here's hoping it sees more playtime. Moji is getting some love as well. Familiar Spray's range is going up from 50 to 55 units, Scamper's speed is being increased by 10%, and the ultimate, Bon Appetit, will reduce the target's move speed by 10%. These are some nice quality of life buffs. Ultimately, I think Moji is still the worst flank in the game and should be reworked. Vatu gets a teensy buff to the ambush, with the time before teleporting going down from 0.4 to 0.3 seconds. It's a 0.1 second difference, no comment. Finally, last up, Vora. Obliteration's lockout after using the ability goes down from 0.8 to 0.5 seconds. Thank Genos. I can't count how many times I've been killed due to that lockout. Vora's ability flow will feel much better because of this. That's not it for Vora though, because she has some nerfs to her ultimate. The bonus speed you get is going down from 80 to 60%, and the initial ultimate charge you consume is going up from 30 to 50%. The move speed change is very noticeable, and I hope it doesn't make Vora's ultimate feel unimpactful. What am I saying? You still have iframes with damage reduction, so it will never not feel impactful. Vora will be fine next patch. Alrighty y'all, that was a long one. I think this is another great update in a year of pretty good updates overall. Paladins is really trying to make a comeback for 2021, and I'm all for it. What do you guys think of the Gen Lock update? Let me know down below. Don't forget to clap that like button and laser down that sub button. Snatching the bell is also a great way to keep in the loop. As always, I'm YellowNinja, and peace. Last of the main abilities is Raised Envelope. When using Envelope, you fold yourself and you send yourself off to the nearest game, aka Overwatch, or you die in stun meta.